Live, everyone.
I do.
When you went to the...
Live. Oh, I wrote the theme song in case you love it.
I get Ron's thing. 30 seconds. Everyone talk into your mic so we make sure that the sound won't explode.
Woo!
What's up, yo?
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Let's just do southern accents for this whole show.
You're running the show.
Beautiful scales, Wizzy.
I like harmony. I'm a big Are you an actor too, Matt?
10. 5, 4, 3.
Our place, where we can dream and share it. Our place, we'll find a friend to care it.
Yes, give it up for the Our Place theme with Lily Fair singing the lead, and she is lovely. I'm Louise Planker, your captivating host here at Our Place Out Loud. And we have a very special in-studio guest. We've got a panel of wonderful and wise teens. We have a very special in-studio guest. We have a Skype call, and it's all related, and I will tell you how. If you guys go onto the interweb, which is the part of your computer that connects to the world, you can Google the words out with, and Google will tell you that the rest of what you wanted to type was dad, because it's just that internet famous. Out with Dad is a fantastic web series, award-winning, if you will. And its star is in the studio with us, young Caitlin. And pronounce your last name for us.
Medrick.
Medrick, yes, I wanted to just make sure I had that right. And Caitlin is spelled very interestingly. It's got a Y in it and other fun things.
Yeah, it
nice,
does.
lots of cool letters.
9 letters.
9 letters, yep. And because, your parents they thought you were up to the challenge.
They did.
Make
yeah,
this difficult to
exactly.
spell.
As
and
difficult as possible.
as possible, yes. So, but you can look up Out with Dad, and you can see how to spell her name. I think it's Caitn. Anyway, and I can't spell, but Caitlin. And then on Skype with us, we have the creator of Out with Dad, Jason Lever, and he is with one of the other young stars of. Did she make it over, Jason?
Yes, she's sitting right next to me.
Hello.
Hi, Kate.
Hello. Hi, Caitlin.
Hi!
Are you guys tickled to be talking to each other this way? Because we can all just be really quiet, and you can have girl talk.
We probably could. We probably could.
You probably could. So, Jason.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you real quick just explain, in your one-sentence blurb, which I know you're really good at doing by now, what is Out with Dad and where can people find it?
Well, it's an online series. It's about a teenage girl and her single father at a time when Rose is coming of age and coming out of the closet. And first she comes out to Dad and eventually to others. And it's all about sort of navigating that world of being out. And they're doing it together.
Exactly, and that's very well said. But, she does first come out to Kenny, who's very adorable, I must say.
He's definitely a fan favorite.
So do you think that, have you done some research, and do kids usually come out to a friend before they come out to parents, or is everyone's coming out story just completely different?
Oh, that's the one thing I have found is that everyone is different, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any sort of common story, and even though... There's certainly a lot of stereotypes out there for you and how everyone comes out. But if anything, I've come to learn is that a lot of stereotypes aren't all that true.
So did you do a lot of research when you were writing, or did you just write from experience?
I did plenty of research because when I first came up with the idea, I almost dismissed it right away because I thought, well, I'm not a dad, and I'm not a teenage lesbian, and nor have I ever.
Not.
I'm not.
What?
But I just thought, maybe this isn't my story to tell, is what I was thinking. So I just kind of thought, forget about it. But then I did a little bit of research, and I got very tempted and very interested by this. And I thought, you know what, this is a story that really needs to be told, because I was researching from the perspective of a parent who suspects his kid might be gay, and I realized that, at least at the time I was researching, there's very few resources there for parents, and I was really disappointed by that. I was some of the sites I found. Well, I don't know if you've seen our second episode, but the sites that Nathan finds, those are very real sites that I came across, and I was just so disappointed to find out that things like how to fix your kid, how to turn them straight, that's the resources that are there for parents. So when I realized that, I thought, you know what, I gotta forget about my own worries. Like I've just got to make this happen, and so then began research, and I just decided to just go at it.
Well, it's really great, and I can tell you from personal experience, being the host of a social network for teens, that I had the exact same experience as Nathan, because I was Googling, how to recommend to a kid, like what good resources, kids want to know, how do I come out to my parents? And so I started Googling teens coming out, and I got the exact same search results that he did, and I was shocked. Because it feels to me like we're living in a time where there's so many positive gay characters in the media, and that people are being exposed to like how real people are in the world, which is real people have gay friends and gay family members. I have a gay brother. Most of my cousins are gay. I mean, the ones who are straight, I'm sorry, but I do have an awful lot of gay cousins, and we just have a lot of gay people in my family, and so it's like such a non-issue for us that to have to Google is my child gay, or how to tell if your child is gay, or how to tell your mom you're gay, or whatever, and to find all these sites about how to ungay your kid without I didn't find PFLAG, it doesn't come up on the first page. I don't know how far down I just finally left the internet in disgust, because I just went back to answering the kid's letter and saying, just giving to the best of my ability the advice about it. Really, what I tell kids is it depends on who your parents are. It depends on where you live. It depends on what your school is like, because we have to put safety first. And if you're not yet 18 and you don't have somewhere else to go, you need to know who your parents are before you make the decision about whether or not it's the right time to come out. So I loved that episode, and I loved that you guys blamed it on America.
we got some trouble for that.
So we have a phone call. Before I throw it to the panel, we have a phone call, and I know Country Boy in the Our Place app has been watching the show, watching your show, and he's been really anxious to talk to you. Are you there, Country Boy?
Yes, I am.
Thanks for calling. Can you tell us what state you're calling from?
Texas.
Excellent. Did you have a question for Kate, Caitlin, or Jason?
Actually, for Kate and Caitlin.
Okay. Go for it.
All right. First, I just want to say that y'all are perfect playing the part.
Thank you.
And second, are y'all both really gay, or is it just for the part?
Caitlin, do we not get this question all the time?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a tough one to answer because I never really know what to say. It's like, I want to say, no, unfortunately, I'm not a lesbian, but I don't know if unfortunately is the right word. But I mean, I guess in certain ways, it is unfortunate. I think being a lesbian would be a cool experience, a different side of...
You can say I'm a really good actress and I'm straight.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's any unfortunate attached with either side.
Absolutely not.
Or bi,
so I never,
or transgender or whatever.
Exactly.
It's just who you are.
Exactly. And that's what we love about the show, is that kids can do that and be themselves.
Mm-hmm. The question that I had, Country Boy, I'm sorry I don't know your actual name. Sometimes the kids in the app, they have their screen names, and other kids find out their real names and they start to call them by their real names. But the only thing that Country Boy has told people to call him is Fang, and I don't know if that's his real name either.
No, it's not. It's from this book series called Maximum Ride.
Okay, cool.
The characters are cool.
So the one thing that I had asked Jason when we were speaking on the phone the other day was if you guys were over the age of 18, because you are playing kind of mature roles that for 15-year-olds it would be like a lot to ask of an actress who's 15 to play these roles. So I asked Jason if you guys were all over 18.
Yes,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well,
Doesn't
and
look it, but
I've met plenty of very young actors, and so I don't know if it wasn't a decision to cast someone over 18 because of would they be able to handle it, because I'm sure plenty of talented 15-year-old actors can. But actually, my concern was more just being safe legally, because
Right.
I knew that I was telling a story that is to many a sensitive topic, and the last thing I would want for someone to be doing is accusing me of making child pornography or something like that. So I was a friend of mine cautioned me and said, you know what, I know you want to be authentic, but you really should cast someone over, someone who's age majority, and just to be safe. I thought, you know what, that's a good point. So, but fortunately, we haven't really had much in the way of negative comments and stuff like that.
Because if you saw like a certain movie like Moonlight Kingdom, where it has like 12-year-olds not just kissing but like touching each other's body parts, that it's a boy and a girl, and it barely got like an eyebrow raise, but if it's two girls, it will get more than an eyebrow raise. So we're still kind of there, where since the majority of the population is straight, we're still kind of in a place where, depicting a gay couple that's underage might raise some parental concern until they find out that the actors are over 18. I don't know. I still think that there is that concern in terms of putting child actors in a position where you don't want them to get teased, or you want the actor to be mature enough to handle whatever might come from if they become really well known for that part.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other questions, Fang?
Yes, for Jason, actually. I wanted to know where he's taken the triangle between Vanessa and Rose and Claire in season 3.
It is a love triangle for sure.
And that, I'm afraid, is a trade secret. I'm not going to tell you. I know that we've made the decision, and I know the answer to the question, but I'm not going to tell you.
I figured that much. I just want to know. Okay, so I'm hoping that Vanessa doesn't ruin what's going on between Rose and Claire, because they are making a good couple.
Aww.
So
You're Team Claire. You
he's
should
Team
wear.
Claire. He's Team Claire. Thank you so much for calling in, Country Boy. It was really good to hear from you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, we are at 888-531-7171. I'm going to throw it over to our panel. I know, Matt, you had a question. You had a question.
Oh, actually, it was answered by Jason earlier in the show. My question was what inspired you to create the show, but you explained about, the lack of resources online earlier. I have to think of another question now.
So I want to introduce the panel, make sure everyone's introduced. We've got Rory, Kiamute, we've got Maddie, we've got Kira. And does anyone else have a question for the team?
Well, you were talking about what you did after you came up with the idea, but I don't know if you really talked about where the idea to write the show came from.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's true. So a few days before the idea struck me, I actually had quite the dream, as a matter of fact, a terrifying dream. I dreamt that my wife, who wasn't pregnant at the time, but I dreamt that she died during childbirth, if you can believe it. And it was a terrifying dream, and it sort of seemed like it went on for days, weeks even, in dream space, And so the next day I was quite shaken by this, because all of a sudden in this dream I'd become a single father to this little daughter named Rose. And over the next day or so I was just sort of thinking about how, all of a sudden Rose wasn't real anymore. And the strange thing is in that dream she became so real that I was kind of almost mourning the loss of this daughter that isn't even real.
Wow.
And so I started thinking about sort of the things that I would not be doing with her. Like I was thinking about her first day of kindergarten class, or teaching her to tie her shoelaces, and then I was thinking about when she was older, things like when she has her first period, I'd have to sort of learn all that stuff I learned in high school, but I've sort of forgotten about a lot of female biology, And so I was kind of amusing myself with all these things about it, and then out of nowhere, the thought crossed my mind, and what if she came out to me? And that's kind of what got the ball rolling. Was well, what then? And I realized there's so many challenges that she would have to go through in high school and through coming out that I never had to go through, and I just thought it seemed a little unfair in a way, that's it. Kind of makes me think of what you were saying earlier, Caitlin, about how it's like we didn't go through this whole thing that so many people do go through, and the challenges that people that don't identify as straight are faced with.
I was wondering if you could all maybe address the issue of what have you heard from fans, because we live in such an interconnected world right now where it's so easy to get feedback almost immediately upon releasing, an episode. Like, what are you hearing from people? Maybe we'll let Kate go first because we haven't heard.
I've been very quiet.
But it's your turn.
Yay! In terms of feedback, because we've been doing this for so many years, it's been kind of a roller coaster. Because when we first premiered season 1, the first few episodes on a few websites and YouTube and stuff, that was the first hit of criticism we ever got.
Really?
And yeah, we actually got some feedback from people saying, wasn't very good and stuff. And of course, as the lead actress, my heart died because I was like, that's it, I'm recast. This is over. This is fun. This is great. Thanks, guys. And then this crazy momentum started to build of people who were like, this show is my life. This show, Rose is me. Everything that I'm sort of feeling right now, whether it's with my best friend, whether it's with my parents, this uncertainty, this fear, you guys are nailing it on the head. So that's why we do get these questions like, are you gay in real life? Because people identify so closely with our characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a lot of positive stuff. Still some criticism now and then, but most people are they're so attached to these characters and this story that, like, we've been doing a fundraising campaign and people have been giving money because they want to see it continue. So it's been unreal. Is the only way I can describe it. Unreal.
Well, that that was exactly how I responded to the show. The kid in the app suggested it, and I would ordinarily watch one episode and go, okay, because I'm always looking for things to recommend to the kids. And I watched it, and then throughout the next day, I watched the whole rest of it until I had watched the whole thing.
Awesome.
And then I was looking to see, like, when is it going to start up again? And I saw all the little videos and the little interviews, and there's going to be a new Nathan and all that and everything. And because I just felt like the writing is so exemplary. It's so spot on. I mean, there are moments that are really sensitive, that are just kind of played very tenderly. Like, even when she actually does, as much as he's anticipating the moment that she does, when she actually does, he's still, as a father, just going, okay, this just happened.
Yeah.
And that's so honest.
That episode gets me every time.
I like the dad a lot.
It's
amazing.
So good. So beautifully acted and so beautifully written. Q?
I also want to say one thing that I liked a lot was when she comes out to her friend Kenny, right?
Yeah.
When she gets home, it shows like a clip of her like jumping on her bed and dancing, and then she goes and like acts telling her dad to like a doll, and then it goes back to her jumping on her bed. Like, I really like that a lot.
Well, that was one thing that I've certainly came across time and time and again through my research, was just how uplifting it is to have that weight taken off your shoulders, even if it is just one person that knows. It's just this release of energy. And I remember shortly after I started filming, before any episodes were out, a friend of mine who works with a lot of youth at the museum that Claire's character works at, she was telling me that one of her youths at the program had just come out, and he was constantly smiling. Like, he said, like, his cheeks were getting tired from smiling all the time because he was just so happy. He felt like, his whole life had become a musical, and he just wanted to, like, sing and dance constantly because, he was out at last.
Yeah.
And even though he was only out to a few friends at school.
Well, one of the things that made me so profoundly sad when my brother came out to me when he was 24 was how many times had he lied, and how the burden of all of it. Like, I know your sexuality is only one part of your personality, but he's my brother and we tease each other about everything. So how many times had I said, "Oh, she's cute," and and he agreed, and like, "Oh yeah, I banged her," and like, because we joke, my brother and I joke, and how many times have we had that type of exchange where he was completely pretending to be straight, and we could have been instead going like, "He's mine, no, he's mine."
Yeah, exactly.
And it would have been the same,
Exactly.
and I just would have known. And but I think he felt like, when he was little, he felt like, I'll never tell anybody. I just won't ever. I won't have romance, and I won't tell anybody. And I mean, we're pretty liberal, Western New York Jewish family, so he wouldn't have had any reason to think that he couldn't tell us. But I just think that
a friend of mine, as he expressed it to me, and he comes from a very, very progressive, art-friendly family from out from Newfoundland, and he was saying that it took him moving to Toronto first, living life in Toronto somewhat out before he could come out to his parents that he knew almost certainly would be very accepting, and yet he, as he put it to me, he said there's this 1% of doubt that he had, and it drove him to, he said, what, I've got to do this by letter. So that's how he came out. And even though he was almost positively certain that it would be no big deal to his parents, or at least they would be really accepting. I'm sure it's a big deal no matter what. But that 1% of doubt. And so I used that line somewhere. I think
you
second
did.
episode, I think I used that line, that there's that 1% of doubt, and I thought that really spoke volumes.
We're here with the cast and creator of Out with Dad. I'm Louise Palanker with Our Place Out Loud, and I was wondering if there's any collective online of coming out stories. Because I know there's It Gets Better campaign, but I think a collective of coming out stories would be really interesting to young kids who have yet to come out.
Yeah, that's a good
I actually
idea.
remember seeing, gosh, you'll have to look for it, but I remember seeing, around the time that we started Out with Dad, I remember seeing some filmmakers had started a similar collective where they asked people to submit their coming out stories, and then they sort of reenact them.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of a neat premise. I don't know if they ever came through, like they went through with it, but I loved the idea.
I think people could submit them. They could just film their own and submit them. And
Yeah.
to your website.
You'll look at if you look at a lot of the stories, one of the things that we did to kind of help bridge the time between seasons 2 and the upcoming season 3 is Kate and I have been filming the video diaries for Rose, right? The Rose video diaries.
Right.
And at the end of each of those episodes, we pose a question, and I find that that's a great way to engage the audience, because we'll ask questions like, what was the first one, Kate? It was like
I think the first one was, what was your coming out story?
Yeah, it was something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like, or how has life been after or whatever. But you look at the comments on that, and so you're like asking about collectives. Look at the comments into those episodes, because there's a collection of stories right there, and some of them are really powerful.
All right. Yes, I haven't watched the video diaries. I'll do that next. So we're going to move on to questions that came into the app this week. Are you guys on board for that?
Yes.
That some of them, you got to put your helping hat on. All right. Bully help. There's this girl, and then she actually put her whole screen name, but I deleted most of it. There's this girl at Becca on Instagram. She's been stalking my account and making fun of me for watching Pokemon. She's been texting me nonstop and got her friends into it. I think I can call her a cyberbully. She even humiliated me in front of my crush. Note, she posted some pictures of me calling her a slut, but she told me to say stuff just so she can post it and make me look bad. And then the next response that this question received in the app was from Ariana, and she wrote, WTF, I just viewed her page on Instagram, and kid, you have nothing to worry about. That bitch is ugly. So what I wanted to address is how quickly cyberbullying escalates into everyone's a bully. And, and what you guys have experienced, the panel of that, and how do you be the first one to stop with this behavior instead of your reaction being to, because this person thought she was being supportive of Morgan, and instead she was just calling someone ugly when that wasn't really the solution to the problem, in my opinion. Do you guys have thoughts on this sort of thing?
Yeah. I think that this happens not just on the internet, but in life in general, because if someone's insulted, their first gut is to, or if you see someone who's insulted that you want to protect, or somebody who wants to protect this person, their response is to attack that person to get them away from the person you're trying to protect. So I think it's not very uncommon, and I think it doesn't really solve any problems, because it's just going to escalate and both sides are going to keep fighting until, just hate each other.
I think this is the exact human instinct that causes war.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound overly dramatic, but I actually think that. And I'm wondering how we can, as a species, train ourselves to be part of the solution rather than escalating the problem. Go ahead, Maddie.
I think one solution could be to kind of, if there's someone who is bullied and you want to protect that person, kind of give them the ability to defend themselves against, the bully, which isn't always possible, but hopefully in most cases. I think in this situation, probably the best way to do it is I'm not really sure how someone on Instagram would get your phone number, because you have to put it on your profile for, people to get it.
It sounds like she had done things like call her a slut because she was asked to do so. Like it sounds like she was part of this until it all turned bad.
Well, maybe that. Then maybe you shouldn't have called her a slut, or maybe
That's
if
what
this
part
person
didn't really make sense to me.
It didn't make sense
that
to
part
me
was a bit
either.
Confusing.
That's why, like, she's trying to type it in a way that doesn't make it look like she ever did anything wrong when there's actual evidence of her calling her a name. So it's hard to know from reading this who started it, because they could both be equally culpable for creating internet violence, I'll call it.
The first thing, though, says that she's been stalking my account and making fun of me for watching Pokemon. Your response to that could be, well, what's so bad about Pokemon?
Well,
where's your proof that there's something wrong with Pokemon?
Jakey has the best answer to that. And whenever anyone calls you out on something, you just say, and?
Exactly,
Your
because
point is?
what are they going to say?
Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, the problem being that you're at the age in which things that are awesome that you liked for a while are no longer considered awesome, and it sucks, and people will just pick on you for doing things. It doesn't even have to be something bad. They just aren't what they like, and they'll pick on you for that. So keep liking Pokemon. It'll be cool in, 3 more years, and you'll be awesome, and you'll know all the Pokemon then, because then there'll be thousands, and it'll get better.
Yeah, Jake is correct. There's an age where you suddenly can't admit to liking things that are still cool, and then there's an age where you're like, yes, I always liked that, and I'm extra cool for it. In fact, I'll have a T-shirt with that on it now, please. But there's around maybe 14 where it's suddenly you're not into anything you were completely into at 12, and then by 16 you're like, yeah, I've always liked that. I've always liked My Little Pony, and got My Little Pony sheets. Come on over. Yes, Jake.
One more thing. Ta-da! Pokemon Black. Yay.
Yeah, I don't even know if Jake, and Jake, your cousin Ben Waldo is still extremely proud of the fact that he gave you all of his Pokemon cards. But he brought it up so many times in Chicago over last weekend that I'm almost thinking that he wants them back. Because he was probably around 14 when he gave them away, and that 16 was like, damn it. That was a lame move. So we have Elizabeth on the phone, and in chat. Oh, in chat. Oh, Elizabeth in chat wrote, "Out with Dad. Thanks for changing my life." Oh my God, that's incredibly powerful.
That's amazing.
Do you guys? This is your lives. You get this kind of stuff all the time. How good does that feel?
It feels amazing. That's what we want to do as artists. Is we want to create things that are going to make a difference and help people in their lives. And I mean, the show's been on hiatus for about a year now, and still daily we get messages from people directly, personally, and I hit the other inbox on my Facebook. It's the inbox nobody ever checks, and I look, and I've got this surprise of amazing messages, and I try and get to everyone, so I promise if you sent me a message, I'm trying to get back to you, but it's amazing. It's incredible.
That's so great. And your characters are so real and unique and distinct. It's just it's so different than what you see on network TV in that it doesn't have to answer to anybody, so it just gets to be. And you can tell that through the writing and the acting that it's untampered with by Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
I have a question for Kate and Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys do get a lot of emails, and I mean a lot of them are congratulations and messages of thankfulness and everything. But I know you're asked advice a lot. But you guys, you're actors. You're not advice givers. How do you feel about what do you do when that happens?
Kate, you want her?
Yeah. Well, the amazing thing, like Jason said earlier, is that every story is different. So every person comes to you with a little bit of a different question. And my answer is, stay positive. And if you need to reach out to me or the Out with Dad team, or if you just need that one person to talk to, then if I can be that person, and if, Kate can be that person, then I think, we will. Absolutely. That's a gift that we've been given. And I think, telling people that it does get better and staying positive and talking to one person you can trust is a good way to go.
And you can refer them to our place.
Yes, absolutely.
We have app full of teens who are very, very open. Like in a lot of kids' profiles, you'll see straight but pro LGBT.
Yeah.
And that's just, I think this generation coming up is changing everything. I really do have a lot of faith in them, and so it's just a good place to come if you want to know that you're not alone on any issue, whether it's gay, straight, or Pokemon, whatever.
Absolutely.
You're not alone. You're normal. You're normal. You're fine. We are Our Place Out Loud. I'm Louise Palanker here with a panel of teens. Rory, Jake, Kimute, Maddie, and Kira. We're going to get Kira talking by the end of the show. That's my goal. Even if I have to say, Kira, what's 3 + 2? Because I'm really bad at math. This question, which was the question you guys wanted me to do next?
LGBT 1, 2, 3, 4 is the caller has.
Oh, okay. I was LGBT 1, 2, 3, 4. I was wondering how to come out to my parents. I am transgender and gay, and plus I also don't know how to tell if a guy likes me. So that's a lot of life changing questions all in almost one sentence. And is this inappropriate of me to say this? But correct me if I'm being inappropriate. But if he's transgender, then if he becomes a girl, he won't be gay?
Well, my understanding is that that's up to that person's way of identifying.
Because I think he likes guys. So if you start out transgender, if you're a guy and you want to become a girl, then if he becomes a girl, then he won't be gay. If he thinks
not necessarily.
But he's saying that he's trying to find out if a guy likes him. So I think he's attracted to men, and he would like to become a woman.
Okay.
So the one he becomes a woman, will he be just considered transgender and straight?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
It is a good question.
It's all labeling. It doesn't really matter.
No, absolutely.
He's going to find love regardless.
Yeah.
She's straight. But anyway, how does he come out to his parents as transgender? I still think that's maybe more difficult for parents than gay still, because it's maybe more rare. What do you guys think?
I think just, the way that we're talking about it, just the confusion of, the definition of that perhaps, is a little, I don't know. That's a tough question. I think it's more unknown and less talked about than, just LGBT in general.
It's less talked about, which makes you wonder how many people live their entire lives in the wrong body and just have never said anything to anyone about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at the moment, he kind of just wants to know if a guy likes him. How do you, if you're gay, let's say right now he's a guy, so if he likes a guy, how do you discreetly go about finding out if someone's romantically interested? Go ahead, Maddie.
Okay, well, everybody's different in the way they show that they like someone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no specific way to know, okay, if they're doing this, then obviously they like me. There's nothing, there's no set anything for everybody because everybody's different. But I mean, there's, ways to do it. If you have a friend that's close with that person, you can ask the friend to discreetly ask. There's the kind of more, talked about ways of finding out. Just do word of mouth, but it's really hard to tell through someone's actions if they like you or not, because everybody's different.
You almost always have to say something to get the real truth.
Usually, yeah. Or I mean, unless you ask for somebody's second opinion and they think so as well. It's a really kind of complicated issue. Kyo, would you like to touch on that?
Yeah. I'm just thinking that this is the question that gets asked a lot.
The most. It's our most frequent. Yeah. It's our big FAQ.
Because everybody wants to know what the person they like is thinking and what they think of them. I would say the surest way is to walk up to them and say, "Hey, I like you. Do you like me?"
But this time we're talking specifically about a same-sex crush.
Okay.
So are there different rules that are applied?
Now, it gets kind of complicated to me because it depends on if they're transgender and they're going to change their gender and then see if the person likes them, because if you change the way your body looks, it's going to have some kind of difference, I think. If you change your body, then it's going to have a difference on what other people think of you. Maybe not too big of a difference, but it's not gonna be the same. I don't know if he or she is I don't know the specifics of the situation, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know what if you can tell by looks, or if it's not so sure to just do that. I mean, it's a lot surer to speak and communicate clearly.
Well, the way in Out with Dad, the way it happens is that they're really good friends at first with her first girlfriend. They're really good friends, and then it just comes up conversationally that maybe I feel more for you than just a friendship, and that maybe this is what this guy has to do is really first become really close friends so that you could say anything. I feel like I'm supposed to be a woman. You these little things will start to come out as you develop a bond with somebody. When to tell your parents, it just depends on who your parents are.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's parents are different, but I would say that there's a lot contained in this one little sentence, and I would say take it apart and one thing at a time, and also continue growing up, because the older you get, the more independent you are, the more free you will be to be your own true self and not have to make any apologies for it. Rory, did you have a thought?
Another thing is, too, when you get older, it becomes a little easier to tell when people like you or not, because they'll make it clear. Liking someone in the kind of game, I mean, it is a game at first, at least, where people, don't always be blunt. But, as you get older, people will... I mean, you can tell in the ways maybe they're physically interacting with you, physical touch, or the way they look at you, or things they say. There are ways to tell people like you. Obviously, sometimes people lead other people on. Mm-hmm. But if you feel confident enough from their actions, there's no harm in asking if you feel confident about it. I mean, but as you get older, you'll get more confident.
Yeah, I mean, there's if you in the app, if you click on Show FAQs, I've addressed this question several different times, and there's certain key things that you can look for, and there's also certain key things that you can do that would let a person know. And one of the kids that I teach stand-up comedy in Santa Barbara. One of the kids that I teach had just gotten a girlfriend, and I said, and he was 15, and I said, how did I? And it was all of a sudden I was like, how did this happen and how did you know? And they were at a dance, and he said she just held onto my arm a little too long. And that was all it took to give him the confidence to know that to go for it. That meant she liked him, and she does. So it's those kinds of things. Isn't that hard? Maddie's like, oh my God, that's the best story I've ever heard.
So cute.
Isn't it cute? And you should see the two of them. They're so cute. So we have a caller, right, Matt? Okay.
Yes.
Hi, who's there? Who's this?
What?
Who's this?
Oh, it's Emily.
Oh, hi, Emily. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine-ish.
Good-ish. Sorry about all the drama in the app this week. That was kind of crazy, huh?
I'm pretty much. I pretty much expected it would happen.
Right. All right. So do you have a question for our guests, or did you want to weigh in on the question from LGBT?
I was. I called when you were talking about coming out stories.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah.
So, basically, I can share mine. I mean, it's a little wild, but...
I would love to hear it.
Why not? So it happened, last year, I thought I was bi, pretty much, and I was like, oh my God, and I've been holding it in since, forever. I don't even know when I realized it, but I thought my best friend would actually accept me, because she was always like, oh, I love you no matter what, and everything. So I basically called her, at 1 in the morning, and basically told her, and I was like, okay, just don't tell anybody, because I don't think I'm ready yet to tell everyone. Well, she ended up telling her dad, and her dad, didn't directly tell, he was not accepting, and so he told he called my mom and didn't really say what was wrong. He just told her that I'm not allowed to talk to my best friend anymore. And so my mom, basically, she got the call at work, and she called me, and she was just like, okay, something's wrong with you. I don't know what it is. You better tell me. And I basically had to tell her I was bi, and she was just like, oh, okay, because I thought she wouldn't accept me, basically, because, I don't know, she's just crazy a little bit. And so then basically it was the first day of high school, and I told everybody, because I thought I was bi back then, so I was like, I'm bi. And I just basically told everybody, and I didn't think I'd get so much hate, and I did. Aww. And so then I found out what pansexual was. I'm like, ooh, I think I'm this now. So I changed to pansexual. I was like, okay, everybody, scratch the bi, turn to pan. And so then basically it was in January, and there's this girl that was in my homeroom, and her name's Amber. And I had the biggest crush from her since day one. And so basically we had been texting, and she made this fake forward thing that said, if would you kiss me? And so basically I was like, maybe. And she's just like, that's not a real forward. And so I found out she liked me back, and she had been having a big feud with her boyfriend lately, and I'd been like, okay. She's like, I don't even think I'm straight. I think I'm lesbian. And I was like, well, girl, just if you don't like him, basically you need to break up with him. So I'd helped her for like ever with him. And so it was like 3 days after her and her boyfriend broke up. And so it was like late that night, and we were like telling each other how much we love each other when we were texting.
Mm-hmm.
And then we basically, the next day at school, I asked her out. And so, yeah. And so I came out as lesbian.
Okay. I'm going to have to interrupt you because we're just running a little bit long with this. But I wanted to thank you for sharing that story, Emily, and we're going to jump off the phone with you right now. And I wanted to ask my guests, my experience with kids in the app is that they first come out as bi. And I don't know how many of them are actually going to be bi, or if that's just to them an easier step in saying that they're accepting who they are, or telling the world, or revealing their truth to the world. Have you guys experienced the same, or are a lot of these kids gonna turn out to be bisexual?
I think it's an easy stepping stone. It's a good transition. And then you also have the liberty to explore and, prove to yourself whether or not you do think you are bisexual or, in fact, gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, a little bit of an easier step, a smoother, maybe slower way to transition into who you think you are.
Mm-hmm.
And but I do believe people are bisexual, yes, and they do.
Because I never reply with, well, you're probably gay. I just accept whatever they tell me they are.
Yeah, because it's self-discovery as well, right?
And I tell people, don't judge your feelings, just feel them.
Yeah.
Because along the way, you'll be able to label yourself if you want to or not. There's no need to place a label on everything right away.
Absolutely.
Even like dating relationships, sometimes it's just like, okay, what are we? I don't know yet, but we are. Do we have to label this right now? I don't. The game's on. Question, Matt? Jason, please weigh in.
Well, one of the things I was going to say is one of the things I've learned from my research is that for everyone, we're sort of on a spectrum of, are you very straight, or are you very gay, or
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the middle? And throughout our life, that can change too. And I think that's something that a lot of people really feel like, once you come out as one thing, even if you're coming out as straight, like it's like you have to be that way for the rest of your life. But that isn't necessarily true. And you can, it's a fluid thing, and a lot of people can, you'll change through time. And from what I hear too, for women, it's even more fluid than it is for men, according to the research.
One of my favorite quotes from How I Met Your Mother, because I don't know if anybody watches it there, we love it up here in Canada, is Lily has this sort of like, I get drunk and I want to make out with Robin type crush. And she mentions the phrase, a woman's sexuality is a moving target. And I personally identify with that statement a lot. I don't like the label of being 100% straight. I just don't like it. And I live in Toronto, Canada, so I'm kind of free to be whoever I want. But when we were asking the question earlier about if we're gay or straight in real life, people contact me and I'm like, I don't like the label for myself of being 100% straight, because I'm not. I do have it is a fluid thing that is constantly transitioning based on who I meet and the situations that I'm in. So I'm fortunate enough where I don't have to nail it down. Some people, you know, it's a personal choice. They need to know where they lie. So, yeah. That's my...
It comes down to, for me, who you fall in love with.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because you can have sexual imagery about pretty much anyone, but in terms of, like, I think romance is a huge...
Love is love.
Yeah, love is love, yeah. Maddie?
The question from Misty Cloud is very closely related to
Go
exactly what we're
Go ahead and
talking
read it, Maddie.
So last night, me and a best friend were playing Truth or Dare on my iPod. I have a Truth or Dare app. And she was dared to kiss me on the lips. She had this strange look in her face and said, "I can't kiss you." Her voice was so serious. And I'm not sure if I'm hurt by this or not. It's like I've wanted to kiss her for the longest time, but now it feels like I don't want to anymore. I feel like it's not even worth just going for a kiss anymore.
So her feelings were hurt, and do you think it was she protested too much? Or do you think she just might sense that her friend is gay and she doesn't want to lead her on? It could be a number of different things, couldn't it?
I know, I was going to say it's very mixed, like, situation here. Like, it could be almost anything. I mean, I can't tell if it's the person who's writing could possibly be bi or lesbian, or the person that said, "I can't kiss you."
The person who's writing has had a crush on this girl for a long time, so I would say she's at least bi.
Okay, Kia, would you like to help me figure it out?
So we're sure that Mystique Cloud is a girl?
Oh, that I did not check.
Yeah, it's hard to, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
best guess.
I mean, that makes sense. She seems to like be bi or lesbian if she's a girl, because it says that she wanted to, right?
I think her name might be Mystic Cloud, and I might have spelled it wrong because it's been a long day, but I think it is a girl, and I think she's been wanting to kiss her best friend. Or, I mean, there's a lot of scenes in Out with Dad where Claire is fantasizing about kissing her best friend, and I think it's the same as being straight. You just fantasize about kissing the person that you have a big crush on, and that's just what people do when they get to be a certain age. So, but it sounds like she had her feelings hurt to the point where she's, at least in this moment, she's saying, "I don't even want to. It's not even worth." When she uses the word "worth," that's like a weighty word to me. It's not even worth just going for a kiss, because I mean, she's probably laid in bed in nights and thought, if I could just have one kiss, that would be all I would need to get me through the rest of my life. And now, when she had a chance to have that moment, even if the kid is straight, she just kind of wanted that kiss to cling to. But now she's just feeling hurt and wounded, I would say. Maddie?
It could also be that the friend is, bi or lesbian and doesn't want to admit it to the person.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
When the way that she
possible.
said, with a strange look on her face, "I can't kiss you," it reminded me a lot of the show. Yeah. Because Vanessa is the character's name?
Yeah.
Vanessa, her mother, what an interestingly written character, and what a great actress you found to portray her, because she represents so much of, I don't know about Canada, but so much of parts of America that are still stuck. And I do feel that they will pull through, and that every verse in the Bible doesn't need to be taken literally. And so why does that one still? But she is just a very, very well-written character who's representative of how I think a lot of parents would react if they didn't want to face that they may have a gay child and want to blame the rest of the world for it. And so this kid may have issues like that in her home life, where she's just not willing to admit to herself or to anyone else that she really did want to kiss this girl, because it seems like methinks thou dost protest too much. I don't speak Shakespeare very well, but there's a way of saying that makes sense. If someone protests too much, it's because they really want to. So it's a complicated question. But I have another question here that was on the topic of Out with Dad, and this is from Meep3000. I'm not gay/bi, and I have nothing wrong with gay/bi/lesbian people, but I figured out my best friend does. I got mad at him, and I was surprised by my reaction. I started crying and sobbing, and I felt so much anger build up inside. We had a huge fight, me saying there is nothing wrong with being this way, and he was saying it was a sin. Should I let him believe what he wants, or should I stand by my opinion and stop talking to him? Personal opinions, please. And I'm going to throw to Jason and Kate, just because we like hearing from you. Do you have to stop talking to somebody who has strong social opinions that are different from yours, or can you put that part of your relationship aside and hoping that they'll evolve? I mean, how do you handle that in life?
I've not really been faced with much homophobia in real life. Like, not through any of my close relationships. I mean, no, I don't think I have. What about you, Kate?
No, not really. I would say my take on it is, if the reason behind it, as you brought up earlier, is people bring up the religious texts, whether it be the Bible, that line from Leviticus, if that's what they're going to be their main reason behind it. I often look to my grandmother as a great, she's such an interesting woman, because she grew up in the 20s, and, she's an old lady, and she's super Catholic, but she's actually very progressive for her years. She's in her 80s, and she's like, if you're going to be gay, just be gay. Just do it. Just don't hide it. Just come out. And, like, because she's Catholic, it's not about necessarily following it, like, line for line of the religious text. Ultimately, the words of Jesus, or whoever your religious deity is always about love and forgiveness. So if somebody wants to throw a religious text verse in your face and accuse you of being a bad person, then you say, well, I'm going to use what you're using, and I'm going to go the other route. I'm going to take the love and forgiveness route, and when you're ready to see the error of your ways, I will be here for you. But if you can't be a supportive part of my life, then we may have to step back from each other until that epiphany is finally seen. And I do believe that people who think that way and ultimately alienate their friends and their family, they eventually get to that place. It might take the person who is LGBT to sit back and be the patient one. So.
And it's hard. It's probably hard for those kids, because they're probably saying, why do I have to be patient with absolutely every aspect of my life? I don't get to hold hands. I don't get to go to the prom. I don't, it's all I'm doing is waiting. But, I promise you that the world is catching up. Keo?
For this person, what I would guess is that this is a friend of convenience, like you've talked about before, how when you're growing up, there's usually the friends that are close to you or, like, just with you, and you're like, hey, let's be friends. And then later on in life, you go out and find people that are similar to you and think the same way. And I feel like this is one of the friends that are of convenience, just because they're close by, because it doesn't seem like you would, well, maybe you would, you have something to connect with in some other aspect, but that seems like a really important topic and an important mindset to kind of have to view being gay as a sin, or think it's like, that seems kind of like a dividing mindset to me. Like, you have to think two different ways. But the way I think about it is just, if somebody's in a different political party that I view as, like, that I disagree with, I don't think of them as bad people, and I don't get angry with them. They're not my closest friends generally. That's just not how it usually ends up happening. But it's not like I get upset. And I think it's important to not have to take everything too personally,
right,
from other people's perspectives or from their opinions, because that's just hurting you more. And
you can say, let's just agree not to talk about this because we disagree. We are Our Place Out Loud. We are here with the cast and creator of Out with Dad, and we've got Ryan on the phone. Ryan.
Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good. What's up with you tonight?
Good. I'm just calling in to talk about what you were saying about, if someone tells you something like that they're homophobic, do you have to stop being friends with them?
Okay, so Ryan is from our panel. He's just studying for an exam tonight. Go ahead, Ryan.
So I was going to say that, it's hard because, especially for me, I choose my friends based on, whether or not I can agree with their morals, but also, if I have a good time with them.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I have this, close friend and I think we agree on a lot of things, and then I find out that they believe something drastically different than me, it's kind of hard.
It is
but
a deal breaker.
But at the same time,
yeah,
it's you still have to remember that they're your friend and that you enjoy a lot of great times with them, regardless of what they believe. So I have a friend who has done this exact thing to me, where they've expressed homophobia, and I'm kind of well, I really disagree with that. That's because that's one of those things that almost crosses the line for me, where it's too extreme for me to understand why people would be that way.
Mm-hmm.
but that's just me. And so, like, I've stopped talking to the person as much, but I'm still friendly to them, and I'm still friends with them. I just have lowered my interaction with them.
The thing that's ironically interesting about this topic, Ryan, is that if we all decide to never hang out with people whose views differ, how are we going to learn from each other? If we just sequester ourselves around only, like, if you're a Democrat and you're like, well, all my friends have to be Democrats because I need people that agree with the things I say. Or if you say, well, okay, you're not going to be my closest friend, but I would like to have friends who are all different types of people so that I can positively influence them and they can positively influence me.
Right, which is exactly what I'm saying. I did with this person, which is they're not so much in my close friend group anymore, but I'm still friendly with them and friends with them.
Mm-hmm. Because you're always hoping, like, through the app that kids will get to know each other, and that even kids that are not so pro LGBT will make friends in the app of kids that are gay and bi, and will grow and open up their hearts. Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so you said, should I stand by my opinion and stop talking to him? You should let him have his opinion. You can also stand by your opinion, and I wouldn't stop talking to him. He seems, besides that one opinion, if he was your friend, then obviously you have something that you enjoy being with him. There's a reason you obviously like, being with him or her. I'm not sure. Didn't say. So, definitely you're allowed to say, this is my opinion. I respect your opinion. I may not agree with it, but it's your opinion, and I respect that. I feel like, that's the best way to handle a disagreement in opinion, especially around such sensitive topics.
It feels like this is the civil rights issue of you guys' generation, because as archaic as it would be to hear, someone say, well, I don't hang out with black people, like, you would almost like look at that person and start laughing because it's such a ludicrous thing to say. But so I'm hoping that 50 years from now, it will sound just as ludicrous to say something that's anti-LGBT.
Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Hopefully less than 50.
Yes, less than 50.
Do you think
Definitely.
there's going to be another civil rights thing?
Oh, people who eat their boogers?
Yeah.
You're out of here.
You could have them as your friends and marry them. And have booger-eating babies.
They deserve to be happy, too.
This has become a great conversation.
So happy that you didn't miss this part of it, Ryan.
Exactly.
Let's read a question that has nothing to do with gay lesbian issues. My mom is pregnant, but this is from Ajarijar. Okay. My mom is pregnant, but I don't think I'm ready for another sibling. Frowny face. That does sound like, that could be like a fun sucker, doesn't it? Like, you just hear that squalling baby in the middle of the night, and, like, this peaceful home has been turned upside down. But, like, it seems like as soon as you look at that baby, you're going to fall in love with it. So how do you get yourself ready for such a huge change in the household? Any tips, Maddie?
Well, I mean, it's going to happen. And if you just face the fact that you can't really be like, poof, gone.
That is one of those things where you're like, my advice is it's going to happen.
Yeah. It's like, I honestly don't know what to say besides, it's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. It's going to happen. You can't do anything about it. So kind of just like.
Sometimes I think that's why pregnancy takes 9 months, because that's how long it takes to just go, oh, my God. We're doing this. Yes. Everybody in. Let's go. Go ahead, Kyo.
Yeah, I'd have basically the same advice. Just keep in mind that it's something that you can't stop, and you definitely should not try and stop, and that you should try and make the best of it, and keep in mind that there's going to be a lot of enjoyable parts, and like you're gonna experience a lot of love that you've never probably experienced before if you haven't. I don't know if they don't have any other siblings.
Well, she wrote another sibling, so maybe already a house full of kids.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, my God, we're doing this again? Really?
But
the thing is, you are. Go ahead, Ryan.
The thing I would chime in about is just like, yeah, it's going to happen. And like you said, Weezy, that, you're going to look at the baby and just kind of fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing to know is that, you're old enough to be in the app. And so, like, you're going to have to understand that you're probably going to lose a lot of attention for a while, especially when the baby's a newborn.
Yeah.
Because when you go places, everyone's going to be focused on the new baby, and your parents are going to be taking care of it a lot, So it's going to be one of those things where Bye.
We love you. We are Our Place Out Loud. I would like to thank the cast of Out with Dad. And what would you guys like to say about what people? I know it's a trade secret, but what can you reveal about what people have to look forward to, and when will they be able to see new episodes?
Oh, so much, so much to look forward to.
This season, like, I'm not bragging when I say this. It's going to be our best season yet. Like, it's just like, it was the most wondrous experience filming it, and we're really pushing the boundary with what the storytelling is. I mean, some of the topics we talked about tonight, bullying and bisexuality,
biphobia, transphobia.
Yep, yeah. A lot of these topics we're finally getting to address firsthand. So there's going to be a lot of things that we finally get to that really meaty stuff, and I'm really, really excited about it. And of course, lots of fun and romance.
Excellent. All right. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being with us. And we are Our Place Out Loud. Thank you, panel. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
It's coming back.